Sweet.
What's up? Uh,
Happy
talking
New Year,
Oscars
everyone.
and Mac the movie guy. Doing it a little bit late. It's New Year's and I'm we're just a little bit hungover and drunk. It's doing things a little bit later than usual on New Year's Day. We're still on 2023 time, so sorry for the delay. But we're gonna break down Best Supporting Actress. Um, and see how that works out because I feel like this is the easiest one for number one, and then the hardest for like the rest of the
Yeah,
for everything else after that. This is the one category where I feel like there's always a nominee that blows people's minds. And I've been trying to find that nominee because if you can find it and capture it and be the one that says, I got it, somewhere out there was some dude last year that said Ana de Armas is going to get a Best Actress nomination. And everybody was like, no, she's not. You're a liar. And then, like,
for Blonde.
and then, yeah, and then lo and behold, she gets one and he gets to dance on everybody's graves for the rest of the year because he's like, I called it, you know.
I think Andrea
Um,
Riseborough was the one for last year, right?
but Andrea had actually picked up steam because people caught on to her
That's true.
campaign.
Yeah,
Blonde came out of nowhere because Blonde had negative reviews. They
yeah,
thought her campaign was dead. Her film opened in September. No one's ever been nominated for an NC-17 film before.
yeah.
So, which is true. I mean, X, obviously, we can go back to Midnight Cowboy, but since the rating was created for NC-17, I don't even think did Léa Seydoux. Léa Seydoux didn't get nominated for Blues the Warmest Color, did she?
I don't think
Because
she
that would
did.
be.
No,
I don't think
I
she
still haven't seen
did.
that movie because it doesn't
That would
have
be like the
description.
only thing that I can think of that out of an NC-17 title. Um, yeah, so she broke the barrier and managed an nomination.
Yeah,
So I'm looking for the Ana de Armas, the Brian Tyree Henry of this year. And I think it's going to be a supporting actress. So let's go ahead and get it out of the way though. Who is your number one in the least surprising, probably least surprising
my number
selection?
one is Divine Joy Randall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
think
mean, even if
she's got it. She's got the win as long as she keeps her head down and moves forward. I think she's got it.
I was gonna say, even if you're not projecting her to win, she's the most locked candidate, I think, in any category at
Yeah, yeah,
this point. She's won almost every single precursor / critic award. It's insane how much she's sweeping. Like, I can't even fathom a world. I don't know what that world would look like where she doesn't get a nomination because it would
yeah.
just be the most bizarre thing ever when everyone else has said her name. Be like, did everyone forget to vote for her? What happens? I don't know. I don't get it.
So I'm
Uh,
assuming she's your number one as well.
yeah, she has to be. I mean, no one else has touched her yet.
Yeah.
There's no reason to pick anybody else above her. She's clearly a lock, at least for the nomination. Um, so, who's your number two?
My number two is Jodie Foster. I think Annette Bening, as much as I want her to be nominated, I think it's too crowded of a category, but I think they're going to acknowledge Nyad with the Jodie Foster nomination because she was really good in that movie too.
Yeah, I thought about this, and Jodie seems to be holding on and picking up nominations where Nyad is not. But Nyad seems to have really just kind of dipped to where Annette is not really tracking. It's just Jodie Foster, and I almost wonder if Jodie ends up slipping out. It did look like a couple years ago that she might sneak in for the Mauritanian after her Golden Globe win,
Yeah.
but she hasn't been nominated since the 90s. Like, it's been a while.
Didn't she get back-to-back year nominations too?
She
Silence of
did.
the Lambs and what was
Yeah.
the other one?
I know she was nominated for Nell, but she didn't win for Nell. was it, The Accused or something like that? Is that
Yeah,
what she
yeah,
was
yeah.
nominated
The
for? Yeah,
Accused. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm gently hanging on to her in number 5, but she's slipping for me. I'm having a really hard time keeping Naiad in. I'm having a really hard time believing that Netflix is pushing Naiad.
Yeah.
And I think they have other things. I would love to see Annette and Jodie out there more, but I just don't know. Netflix is all about Maestro and a little bit about May December, and now Society of the Snow may take up any heat that they were planning for Naiad or even
Hopefully that has
Austin.
description for
So
in English.
we're about to find out. Yeah, just a couple days away. So hopefully.
So what's your
Um,
number 2?
my number 2 is Danielle Brooks.
Okay.
I just think it's gonna happen. I think even if Color Purple doesn't get into picture, I think she ends up getting the nomination. I feel like of all of the things Color Purple could get a nomination for, she's the strongest lock. I've noticed pretty much everywhere she seems to get in, even if Taraji doesn't. So I think that um, she's really going to end up sweeping into the race. She's really the only one that I think can challenge for the win, and that's only if Color Purple really ends up picking up steam. It had a really good opening day, and then it kind of leveled out. So I don't know. I mean, I think she'll get in, but I don't know who could touch Divine at this point. But she's maybe the closest.
Yeah. No, she's my number
So
3. She's really, really good in The Color Purple. Like, I didn't really know many of the actresses in it before going in. Like, I hadn't seen a lot of their other work, and so I didn't really know what they looked like. And so when I was watching, I was like, "Oh, this character is the most interesting and the best performance." And I looked at it was Danielle Brooks, so I was like, "That makes sense that she's getting Best Supporting Actress nominated or not
yeah,
talks."
yeah,
She's
her
really
Hell
great.
No is fantastic. So um, yeah,
Which
I
movie?
think her Hell No, the song,
Oh
her big
yeah, yeah,
song in the
yeah.
yeah, she does a great job on that. All right, so who's your number 4?
So I'm actually changing my number 4 right now as we speak. It was Emily Blunt. I'm gonna change that to Julianne Moore. I think Julianne Moore was really good in May December, and I really want her to get in for Best Supporting Actress.
Um, yeah, I dropped Julianne Moore out of mine. I think she's an honorable mention for me. Um, I just I think that the whole conversation has become about Charles Melton, and I wonder how strong May December is. I feel like we're about to see how strong it is. The BAFTA long list come out Friday, and Golden Globes are on Sunday, and we've got SAG after that. So we'll see a little bit more, but they're centering the campaign a little bit more now around Charles Melton. I think because they know they can't get a nomination for Natalie at this point. She's
No.
just way too far down the actress list. Todd Haynes is in an incredibly competitive race, and May December for Best Picture seems like a I'm not gonna say no, but if there were if there were 15 nominations, I think it would get in. If we have 15 Best Picture spots, I think
Yeah.
it's between 11 and 15 for sure. But I don't
I mean,
know that
it's in my
it's
top 10
close
of the
enough.
year personally.
Yeah, I thought it was a
I
great
love
film.
it.
I don't know that it's gonna crack the
Yeah.
list. Maybe
So
it
who's your
gets a Melton and screenplay, maybe
Yeah.
2 nominations. That could be it. Um, so I'm giving in. I concede. I surrender. And I'm going to go with America Ferrera for
Ooh.
Barbie
Okay.
in the number 3 spot. I'm gonna guess that Barbie overperforms and that all three of them get in. I
Okay.
just I feel like we live in a Barbie world, and she's picking up enough nominations, and she would still feel like it was a surprise. It's her first nomination, and I just rewatched Barbie the other day. I'm still aggressively angry about the audio description, like irrationally so, but
Why is that? What's
uh,
wrong with it?
she's never named. They
Oh,
they they take that stupid rule about not naming somebody until they're like verbally named in the film too far, because she spends the entire film being labeled either personal assistant or the mom to
yeah, yeah.
the little girl. Those are the only things she's ever described as in the entire film. This massive character that could possibly get an Oscar nomination has this
When
huge
when I
speech
saw it
that's
in
been inspiring everybody. Does
when I
not have
saw
a
it in
name.
theaters, it was Laura Post. Is it Laura Post on Max right now
It
too?
is Laura Post. Yeah, I have
Okay,
both.
cool.
I own the digital copy and I've seen it on Max. It's Laura Post. It's just she never has a name.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure you probably just didn't think about it while you were watching it, but it drives me insane. It's
yeah,
maddening to me. Because I remember sitting there in that final scene where she's in there and like she suddenly has like a husband or a boyfriend or I don't know, partner, fiance, something. There's a guy in the car, and she still doesn't have a name. I'm like, what is her name? And I looked it up, and she actually has one. She's credited. It's Gloria, I believe, is her name.
yeah.
So she has a name. They never used it anyway. And it's not even a spoiler. There's nothing about that name that would spoil anything for the
Yeah.
film. So I think America Ferrera is going to be a surprise. I'd love to say it's Rachel McAdams, but I'm so persistently like let down by the Oscars that when I think of surprises, I don't think it's going to be Glenn Howerton or Rachel McAdams because that's too easy. Those are the people I actually want to see in the race. I was
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
who do I not want to see in the race? America Ferrera being nominated for a monologue. That would bug me. So yeah, I think she's in. I think she's going to be a surprise. She sneaks in. A lot of people didn't think Jamie Lee Curtis was going to get in because her performance was too small and too comedic, and then she ended up winning the whole damn category last year. So you know
Yeah.
what? Welcome America. Welcome to your Oscar nomination.
I
So
I I really don't see her getting in. I mean, I hope she doesn't. Not that I don't like America Ferrera, but
I hope
I
she
think the
doesn't either.
star of that
But
scene is the screenplay, not her.
exactly, but I can say that about. I mean, there are so many people where it's like, yeah, she's that's great, but it's the screenplay.
Yeah.
Arguably, I thought Rosamund Pike was great in Saltburn, but it's the screenplay, it's the lines that everybody loves about her role.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily she doesn't have like great scenes where she just like Divine Joy Randolph just has these scenes where she has to react to things
Mhm.
and just in silence, you know. But
Yeah.
everything is dialogue driven for Rosamund Pike and for America Ferrera. They're just it's like giving the screenplay an award.
Yeah.
So anyway, so those are my top three, and we have my five. So I don't have my four, and I don't have your five. So
Who's your 5?
oh, my five was Jodie Foster. I had Jodie
Oh, gotcha,
Foster, but
gotcha, okay.
I had Jodie Foster down at five.
Okay. So
So
my number 4, if we're ready for that.
n- no, you're on. You gave me your number
Oh, sorry.
four.
My number
Your
5 is
number four.
Penelope Cruz for Ferrari. I saw
Yeah,
Ferrari in theaters the other day. It's fine. The movie's fine, but Penelope Cruz is really good. And I think like this is the case where her performance is better than the writing because clearly like the writing Ferrari is whatever. The It's funny. I was so much more fascinated with Penelope Cruz's storyline than anything with the sports cars. She's so good in this movie, and I think she deserves a nomination.
yeah. My only concern for Ferrari is can she power this film to enough voters to watch her?
Mhm.
because from what I remember, I think it only got one shortlist nomination. I think for like sound, if I'm correct. I think it only got nominated in sound. Um, and I just don't know if people aren't hearing great things. The box office on it is all right, but not great. Is this a priority for screeners? She did come in out of nowhere. She was a surprise nominee about 2 years ago for that the foreign film that was out of competition
Mm.
for international feature. It wasn't the submission that year, sort of like how Sandra Hüller,
Yeah, Anatomy of a Fall.
can end up getting in. So I don't discount the ability of Penelope Cruz to be able to break into a race. Um, but I kind of wonder whether or not she can, whether or not like it's actually possible for her to be the lone nominee for Ferrari, because it's unlikely that Ferrari would get another nomination.
No, I don't think it's gonna get any.
It's kind of like how I feel about Saltburn with Rosamund Pike. I don't know, like, where else does it get a nomination? Is she
Mhm.
enough? Like, is she gonna power this film? Is she gonna end up stealing a nomination? That's why it's easier to pick somebody like America Ferrera, because it's like we know everybody saw Barbie,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and or Emily Blunt because everybody saw Oppenheimer. But I don't know if everybody's gonna see these films. Um, Sort of like Origin, like everybody, everybody on the face of the planet who's seen Origin is like, this film is amazing. It's not tracking anywhere for anything. Like, it's weird. It's weird
Yeah, it
how
doesn't come out
Origin
till
is
the 16th of
supposedly,
January.
but it did technically screen. So I wonder if Origin drops on the 16th and suddenly becomes like Hidden Figures, where
Mhm.
like it opens and it does like $50 million, and everybody's suddenly like, "Oh my God, this is gonna get nominated!" It's just like
Yeah, it
all of a
doesn't come
sudden
out
we
till
have to
after the
shift
nominations
all of
come
our
out either.
categories. Yeah, well, they start voting, I think, on the 16th. They vote from like the 16th to the 23rd, I believe,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Oscar voting. So it's like opening right at the top of Oscar voting, and it could suddenly shake up the race
Mhm.
in a very weird way. But uh, for my fourth pick, which has been incredibly hard because I want to say Rachel McAdams, but I also acknowledge that that's my own personal bias, and there's that. I have a hard time saying Penelope Cruz and Rosamund Pike because they might be their film's only nominations.
Yeah.
Uh, I really have never bought into the Emily Blunt thing because she doesn't even really have the monologue that America
Yeah,
has.
I
She
don't I
has
don't see her
like a
getting in.
scene where she's kind of good. The rest of
Mhm.
it is her just kind of like reacting and emoting. And Emily Blunt is a phenomenal actress who has turned in way better performances and not been nominated for them. And
Yeah.
it's actually oddly, it's very weird that this would be her road to Oscars
Mhm.
for this role compared to some of the other things that she's done over the years. But I don't know. I've been thinking about this because I happened to look at Gold Derby, and I was like, well, let's see where we're at. And they've got, it's all over the place. And there were some people I was reminded of that are in the race that I could see kind of popping in out of nowhere. I could see Juliette Binoche coming in out of nowhere for the taste of others. If France picks up a nomination, we could be really interesting with international films this year, with multiple titles getting a couple nominations. I mean, Anatomy of the Fall, Zone of Interest, Side of the Snow, and Boy and the Heron could end up in like
Mhm.
multiple categories. Four Daughters is technically could end up in multiple categories. So or the Ukrainian one is also the submission. It's in both documentary and international feature. 20 Days in Maripol.
Mhm.
So there are multiple films that could get multiple nominations. And the Taste of Others or whatever is Julie Binoche could just suddenly appear. She's been nominated before,
Is
you
she your
know.
number four?
She's not. My number four is still at 1 to 100 odds though. And I thought about this long and hard because the two people that I was fighting for, that I was thinking about in my head, are both 1 to 100 odds. So I'm gonna go with Eric Alexander for American Fiction. I'm gonna say
Oh
the
wow.
most random thing that happens is that I think I think it's getting a little tough for Sterling K. Brown in supporting actor, but I wonder if Jeffrey Wright can bring along Erica Alexander as American Fiction starts to pick up steam. I wonder if she's Hong Chow this year.
Mm.
So, um,
Well, remember last year, Hong Chow had 2 movies, not just one, where she was good.
she did, but the menu did end up with no nominations.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
So we don't know that the Oscar voters really loved the menu or watched the menu or thought she was good in the menu.
Yeah.
That was one of those things where it's like film lovers liked it. If film Twitter had an award, you know what I'm saying? Like if there were ever like the Letterboxd awards, they would look radically different than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I wonder whether or not Eric Alexander could be the surprise where it's just she just is an extra American Fiction nominee. Everybody thinks it's going to be Sterling K. Brown, turns out to be Eric Alexander, and she just pops into the race
Yep.
at the last minute. So she has gotten attention. It's not like she's totally out of the race.
Which character was she?
She plays his girlfriend.
Oh, okay. See, it's funny because I don't know that she. I mean, I guess you said she's 1 to 100, but like when you said her name, I was like, I wasn't thinking like, oh my God, there was that one female performance that really stood out. That's who it must be. I was like, okay, which female is she? Because I didn't think anyone really stood out to me when I saw it.
Yeah, but as you know, I'm a Spirit Awards voter, and she's up for consideration.
Oh, okay.
She made the supporting list,
Okay.
and I think she's made some other critics lists too along the way for people who really loved American Fiction, for people who really got American Fiction, and groups that thought that was the bee's knees. So it's not like her name is not out there. And I think American Fiction is going to overperform than what people are thinking. I think it's a film that will catch on, and it's opening later, and the steam is going to, get it at the right time. So maybe Eric Alexander just suddenly. I didn't even realize she's been around forever. I guess she was on Living Single back in the day. So it's even one of those nominations where it feels like you're giving somebody to something who's been working and plugging away for many years. She didn't appear out of nowhere for this film. This is like her first film. She's been acting forever. So popping up in roles throughout film. I don't think it's that weird. But she's currently at 1 to 100 odds. So if you think Eric Alexander and you want to get some cool gold derby odds,
Yeah.
go for Eric Alexander. But any other people that you think are vying for?
I mean, we mentioned Emily Blunt, we mentioned Rachel McAdams, but no. Besides, I think this is it pretty much. I think we got about 7 or 8 people that are going for it.
I think Viola Davis is still in this for Air.
I would love to see Viola Davis be nominated.
She's the name that comes up anytime somebody talks about Air. I think if Air is going to get a nomination, but she falls under that same category. There's a group of actresses who it's literally like you are now, and right now I just have Jodie Foster in that spot. But there's like a group of actresses where I think they may be the lone nomination for that film. And I think that includes Jodie Foster. I think it includes Viola Davis. I think it includes Penelope Cruz. And I think it includes
you're saying Danielle Brooks too?
Rosamund Pike. No, I think no. I said Danielle Brooks if The Color Purple underperformed. I do think The Color Purple is going to get more than one nomination. But I was saying if it came down to it, if something weird happened and Color Purple only got one nomination, it would be Danielle Brooks.
Yeah.
But I think legitimately, I think Naiad's chances have come down to only Jodie Foster. I think Saltburn's chances are basically at Rosamund Pike with like maybe cinematography, like
Yeah, yeah.
maybe like a tech, but like not necessarily a front runner for a tech nomination. You've got Ferrari, which is maybe sound and Penelope Cruz. And then Air, which could be maybe screenplay and Viola Davis, and that's
Yeah.
about it. So, and Rachel McAdams is also in there too, because honestly, at best, it might get adapted screenplay. It's been doing quite well with critics groups and adapted screenplay, and technically has enough. Would be in the top 5 if we just took if we took all the precursor awards, it would end up getting a nomination based on how many times it's been tagged by all the precursors. So all of them have this like maybe like a 7, but they don't feel like strong contenders. So
That's the only one I haven't seen. Is it Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Oh, it's currently my favorite film of the year. Although I'm
Wow.
debating, I'm the thing is I just saw 2 movies recently that are vying for that same title, and I'm trying not to do that thing where you immediately see something and you're like, oh my god, it's the favorite thing ever. So I want to go back around and rewatch Are You There, God? So that way it's
Yeah.
as fresh as the other 2 movies I just saw, and try to figure out which one of these movies is actually my favorite, because um, within the last week I've seen both American Fiction and The Holdovers, and it would really be between those 3 movies for me.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, but I think it's an exceptional film, and I've
Where's
loved it
it?
all
Where's
year
it streaming
long.
right now? Do you know? I don't think it's streaming anywhere for
Honestly, I
free.
think it's on Stars.
Oh yeah, but
That
there's no
doesn't have
audio
audio
streaming on Star,
description.
so whatever.
Yeah, but I bought a digital copy of it so I can rewatch it. But yeah, so that's it. That's supporting actress. Who do you think's going to win the Golden Globe?
For Best Supporting Actress, who are the nominees again?
Divine, Danielle, Jodie, Rosamund, Julianne, and what's the other one? Emily. Emily Blunt.
Oh, I mean, I think Divine Joy Randolph is the for the Holdovers is the she'll probably take it. She thinks she's gonna
I
sweep the season, probably.
I think this is the one award where she might lose it, because the Holdovers missed a couple places where it could have gotten, where it felt like it might have landed. The screenplay nod worries me, and the Golden Globes is a voting body that's not like the Oscars, where actors vote for actors and directors vote for directors. So because it's a voting body that votes for everything, the fact that they didn't tag Holdovers for screenplay, even if you have a problem with Alexander Payne and you're trying to send a message that way by not nominating him for director, he's also been nominated like 3 times for director by the Golden Globes, so they do typically like him, but he didn't write the screenplay.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no reason to punish the screenplay, but it didn't get a screenplay nomination. And also Dominic Sessa's not in. So I
Yeah.
don't know how much they really love the Holdovers. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's weird, but it feels like this could be some random surprise. This could be suddenly Emily Blunt winning out of nowhere. This could be Rosamund Pike for Saltburn winning after she won for I Care a Lot a couple of years ago. So yeah, it could just be something just so totally bizarre.
Did you say the Golden Globes are on Sunday?
Yeah, they're
Oh, I
on
didn't know
Sunday.
that. Did not know that. Do they really
I think they're
matter
on
anymore,
Sunday.
though? Like, do they?
I think it's a Sunday that they're on, but they're like within the week. They're
Yeah.
like, I think they're on the 7th. Yeah. Right.
Do they really matter now, though? Like, I
I
know
think they
they don't
matter
have as much of an
more.
impact as they used to, right?
They're mattering more because they've expanded their um they've tripled their membership since the scandal that
Okay.
sort of Oscar so white, and then they found out that there were no black members in the Golden Globes
Yeah.
voting body. They've tripled their membership, and now they're owned by CBS,
I think
Paramount
it's Dick
Plus,
Clark
CBS.
Productions, right? Or not Dick Clark.
Yeah, so they're
Yeah.
pretty much going to be exclusive to CBS now. They have a new deal,
Yeah.
um, and yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think that if anything, because I think she'll win the Critics' Choice Award. I think even BAFTA will go for her. There isn't really like a clear British front runner necessarily. I mean, I don't see, because they're not really from British films or British actresses from. There isn't somebody like Carrie Condon where it feels like, oh, this could surprise at BAFTA.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like feels like somebody they might go for. It feels like it's British actresses doing American films.
What do we
So,
think about Sandra Hüller for Zone of Interest? I mean, obviously we
um,
haven't seen it because it doesn't have audio description, but like,
yeah, I from everything that I've heard, there isn't a lot of dialogue. The film is shot in wide shots and not a lot of close-ups. So I think people aren't thinking about the actors. I think
gotcha.
people are thinking about the experience of Zone of Interest, um, and not necessarily. I think the performances are there, but I think you're supposed to, from what I understand, it's the horrifying sort of auditory experience that Zone of Interest gives you, the
Yeah.
contrast of their life versus um, what's behind them.
Hmm.
So I think they're going for a lot of wide shots and not a lot of facial close-ups and not a lot of conversations. Be a
Yeah.
very hard performance, I would think, for her to get the nomination for.
Yeah.
Um, but I think she has a chance of winning a Golden Globe. I'll say that. I think that's going to happen. They've given it previously to international nominees, and this is an international voting base. So I think she's going to win the award. I think she's going to beat Lily Gladstone
Wow.
on the Golden Globe. Um, she can't win everything. Lily's just not going to win everything.
No. No. No.
So, but all right.
And
That's it. I
you
think
don't think Florence Pugh has a chance, right, for Oppenheimer?
Oh God, no, no. Well, if I don't think Emily's going to get in, I don't think Florence is going to get in
Yeah.
for killing herself.
Because I think
Like,
like Oppenheimer does have the most momentum of any movie. I think it's gonna win picture and
I don't know that
director and
Oppenheimer. I don't think
everything.
momentum is the word. I think Oppenheimer has that weird front runner status, which usually ends up knocking films like that. Usually end up getting knocked down a peg, but it didn't work last year for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere just plowed through, which is why I think it can't possibly happen twice in a row. I think Oppenheimer's gonna falter a little bit and not just like sweep every category. Remember, I mean, last year, Everything Everywhere won picture, director, supporting actress, screenplay. Just like out of the top categories,
Yeah.
basically the only thing it lost was Brendan Fraser. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and it wasn't even nominated in that category. So um, yeah, it's so. I mean, if Oppenheimer performed that way, it would win picture, director, Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., and Emily Blunt, and then win the adapted screenplay. This is just not going to happen. It's not going to
Hmm.
happen twice. So there's going to be a little bit of a front runner fatigue. This is a much stronger year. Poor Things has to win some stuff. People really are passionate about that.
I love Poor
Holdovers
Things.
has a really good chance. American Fiction has a really good chance. A lot of people are really passionate about American Fiction. Honestly, people are really passionate about Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall and Barbie, I guess. But yeah, there are
I'm so
people.
jaded. I'm not cheering for anything that doesn't have
So
audio description.
yeah, which I guess is just Zone of Interest at this point.
I mean
So
that Godzilla, Boy and the Heron.
um,
Godzilla I hear could get in for effects. Boy and the Heron could get in for animated. but I'm like, I can't, like, literally, they're not accessible. Why are we even talking about that?
I wonder, but I wonder. I told you. I think we talked about this earlier with G Kids. The last G Kids film that got nominated was Belle, and it went to Max. And when it went to Max, it had audio description.
Okay.
So if that's where G Kids is sending the film again, and they do have that Studio Ghibli hub
Yeah.
there. So there's even more
But they're gonna
reason
be
to
like,
believe
oh, it's
that
a
Boy and the
foreign
Heron
movie.
is going to Max. But so was Belle. I mean, Belle was an anime
That's
film
true.
out of Japan, and they put audio description on it. So I think it's one of those things where it could very well pick up audio description.
Yeah.
The other films, I don't know. I don't know where Toho's going to send Godzilla Minus One. It's weird that Sound of Freedom is on Amazon. I didn't think that was going to be the streaming service, but that's where it is. Without audio description, by the way.
Yeah.
And
I saw that in theaters with audio description.
So, yeah, it has an audio description track. Amazon just doesn't care, and Angel Studios didn't care to make sure it had audio description. But
Oh, it doesn't have it on Prime though?
no.
Oh
No.
wow, that's surprising.
No, the streaming release didn't carry it. So just because Godzilla Minus One needs to go somewhere where they care enough to actually add the audio description track to it.
I don't see that happening. I would love it if it did because it's on everyone's top 10 list. I want to see it, but like.
The other thing I would say is Zone of Interest because it's A24, and I believe it's the back half of A24. So I do believe Zone of Interest is part of the weird split that they now have because their deal has transferred, and A24 is at a certain point their contract with Showtime runs out, and they are sending their films to Max.
Yeah.
So a lot of the end of the year films like Priscilla and stuff like that are supposed to go to Max, which I would think includes Zone of Interest. So if Max steps up, they could possibly add audio description to Zone of Interest and Boy and the Heron for their
that'd be great.
Streaming debuts.
A24 is really good about AD in theaters, and it doesn't have it in theaters. So I don't have much hope it'll have it at all. The other thing is A24 doesn't put audio description on their physical media, which I'm like, really? I was gonna order the big Everything Everywhere box set from their website. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that if I can't watch it. Same with the Universal. Universal doesn't put it on their 4K disc. It's so dumb. I bought Oppenheimer on 4K. I was like, I haven't bought a 4K disc from Universal in a few years. Maybe they changed. It's like, nope.
Nope. Yep. Anyway.
That's my rant.
Yeah. Yeah. I even wonder if Christopher Nolan's going to win the Golden Globe for director. I think it's going to be mixed. I think it's going to look a lot like there isn't really a front runner, but there are a few. I think it's going to be like a spread the love type of thing. That's where I feel like this year is.
Oh, I feel like Nolan's going to win everything.
Yeah, but I could see him. I could see them picking somebody else. Nolan is not. Nolan's tough, man. You put a microphone in front of him, and then he starts like, I mean, he'll talk about his movies, but he's so snobbish about a lot about filmmaking. It makes it really hard to campaign him.
Yeah,
because. I mean, I love him and I respect him, but he didn't. They didn't even like the practical effects that he did for Oppenheimer. Didn't even visual effects people.
Yeah. It didn't make the short.
Like he didn't make the short list for visual effects.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, like I do believe Mad Max Fury Road got recognized with practical effects. So it's not that they're against practical effects. They just. Christopher Nolan is just.
To be fair, though, most of Oppenheimer was people in a room talking. Like there was the bomb scene. That's really the only scene where they needed any visual effects.
Yeah, but Rebel Moon is shortlisted.
I mean, yes, but as bad as that movie is, I haven't seen it. Movie. But as bad as I hear it is, it had visual effects through the whole thing.
it did, but every review I've seen so far says the effects look unfinished.
Yeah, yeah,
So, um, yeah. So anyway, I just he's a tough cookie to get out there and promote.
yeah. We'll
They're
see.
using his wife a lot actually because she's a producer on the film, so they're trying to make her
That's why I think it's
the
gonna win picture because she's been behind so many bangers
exactly,
and
yeah.
she's never won an Oscar.
And so now she's out there talking a lot because they realize if he talks, he may
Yeah,
not win. So anyway, yeah. Same thing with Scorsese and his like railing against superhero films. It's like some of these guys. So what I brought up with De Niro, I was like, I don't know that speech helps him.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know that that politicizing, taking your time on stage to politicize all the time is necessarily going to help your profile
yeah.
in this race. So in a tight race. So but
Okay,
yeah, we
real
talked about
quick.
a lot. What else?
What are your top 5 most anticipated movies of next year? Unless you don't want to get into that right now.
Well, Deadpool. I
Nice.
mean, Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like, uh, and then like there's like a giant. No, I should say Inside Out 2.
Okay.
I'll be cautiously optimistic that Inside Out 2 will be good. Because I think unlike where I go, why are we doing Finding Dory? I
Yeah.
actually kind of understand that as she
Hashtag
grows up,
puberty.
like her emotions could change, and there is a possibility for a story there. So I see that,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna trust that Pixar has a brilliant concept for Inside Out too. Disney really needs a home run.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what else. I forget what else comes out next year. I guess some of the obvious ones that we've pushed back. I'm really interested to see what Luca Guadagnino's Challengers was all
Yep.
about because they
Bike
decided to save
Riders.
that from the writer strike. Obviously, they think Zendaya has a shot. Um, Dune Part Two,
Yep.
the Piano Lesson. Netflix pushed that back because it was too crowded. So
Who's in that?
obviously, that's John David Washington being directed by I think Denzel's other kid is directing it. I think it's like all of like the Washingtons and Denzel's like producing and it's based on a Broadway play.
I'm very
So
excited for Woman of the
um,
Hour, which was at TIFF, and Netflix bought it, and it's gonna come out next year, I think. Anna Kendrick directed it.
oh, cool.
It's about the serial killer who was on the dating game show.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
hear really good things from that at a TIFF.
Wicked.
Deadpool Deadpool is my most anticipated. Joker 2, Dune 2.
Oh yeah,
And
Joker
I'm
too. Yeah.
really excited for Nosferatu, which comes out on Christmas, and Jordan Peele's new horror movie comes out on Christmas also.
Yeah. So
That'd be great. And you got Wicked, and you got there's it's funny, summer next year, I feel like it's kinda lackluster, but like you got stuff kinda through the whole thing. I mean, Dune's coming out in March. I'm like, what are we gonna still be talking about it around Oscar season? I don't know, we'll see.
I don't know. But Dune is never a film that I'm worried about with acting categories. So the question
No,
will
that's
just be,
true.
does it still get a Best Picture nomination? It'll
Yeah.
get the tech nominations.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it'll get any. Dune's going to end up picking up tech nominations no matter what month it ends up in.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, whether or not it gets that Best Picture nomination is the question. Whether or not Denis Villeneuve has lost his shot at director
Yeah.
by having a March date. Anyway, yeah, those are the films. It's weird. What did the fuck is Marvel released? I think just Deadpool.
Yep, Deadpool, that's it. And then you got the Sony ones, which they look awful.
Yeah.
Mrs. Webb, what's her name? Madam Web.
Madam Web, Craven the Hunter,
Venom
and
3.
Venom 3.
Yeah.
I actually liked the second Venom better because I thought Woody Harrelson's
Oh, you're
Carnage
the
was
one.
interesting. I said better than the first one. The first one has the world's most forgettable villain on the face of the planet.
It's
At
unfortunate because
least,
I love Riz Ahmed.
his villain is nothing.
No, yeah,
He's a nothing villain. But at least in the second film, they do have Carnage, and it is interesting. Like it is mildly interesting to watch Venom and Carnage go at each
yeah,
other. That film should be rated R, but other than that, it
yeah.
was directed by Andy Serkis, I believe. He came and switched it up for the second film, so I think probably that's why it felt a little bit better. Um, I don't know, but
What happened to that movie?
I noticed the franchise did get better because I didn't think the first one was that great.
Oh, and
But
Alien Romulus. I'm excited for too next year.
yeah, the new Alien.
There was a movie they had a trailer for in
Furiosa.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm
It's
not
in
a big
Furiosa.
Fury Road fan because it's all visual, and obviously there's an issue with that.
Yeah.
There was a movie they had a trailer for in Strange World like a year ago. It was like a Pixar sci-fi movie, and I don't know what happened to it. Do you know if that's coming out next year? It's like an original. It's like the name of the character starts with an E, I think. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Am I imagining this? I'll find it and send it to you, but I'm like, I don't know what happened to this movie. But yeah, Inside Out 2 I'm excited for. I'm not a huge fan of the first one. It didn't hit me like I wanted it to, but I am so excited for them to tackle like puberty. I hope they have an emotion like desire. It'd be like, they can't do horny, so they'll do desire or something. But like, I'm so excited for the new emotions. It'll be great.
Yeah, the Bing Bong thing got me. I didn't think it
Yeah.
was going to, but it got me.
Disney has been very manipulative with all that stuff lately. They're like, look, we can make people cry.
Well, that's a good thing.
It is,
Evoking
yeah.
emotion, the fact that you can get somebody invested in something enough to pull emotion out is a good thing because I deeply miss that from a lot of their recent things.
Oh yeah,
Hasn't
but I mean,
happened in a while.
2023, they had a lot of fake death scenes where they're like, all right, you're gonna cry, and then we're gonna pull it back.
But I
Like,
didn't cry because
Elemental
it was a
did
Sarah
it,
Quellen.
Guardians did it. Yeah. But anyway, we're way off topic. But thank you for having me on for New Year's Day.
Yes. If anybody made it this far, please subscribe to the Dark Room podcast. If you're still here, we love you, and
Yeah.
I don't know why you're here. You should have left by now, but subscribe to us because obviously you like listening to us talk. So that's it. We still have to do director. Either you or Lee. I don't know. Is Lee alive?
Yeah. No, he actually called me, and I was like, I'll call you back after the John stream.
We'll see if he wants to do director. Not that I don't love talking to you, but he's only ever he did like screenplay, and then he hasn't done anything else in a while. See if he wants to talk director because that's the last above the line category we got to tackle. But
and then when do the nominations come out, on the 12th?
No, dude. The voting starts on the 13th, and then the nominations
No.
On the what do you mean?
I think the nominations come out like. Are you sure?
23rd, January 23rd. The nominations come out.
I don't know why I kept thinking it was earlier than that.
I don't because. What you have in your mind is when voting opens.
Oh,
For some reason, somebody told you when voting opens, and you thought that meant that's when the nominees come out.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, it's great. I've seen most of the Best Picture nominees before the end of the year, so.
Yeah,
it's the first year that's happened.
Man, dude, you got to see All of Us Strangers. Wow.
Did you see it?
Yeah, and without audio description too. But it's I still went ahead and gave it an A because what Andrew Haigh came up with. I'm gonna rewatch it again anyway. So I didn't want to go ahead and punish the film by saying it's unwatchable because the screener doesn't have the audio description. But
You got the screener
um,
through what? Film Independent?
yeah, so bug your mom.
Yeah,
Watch.
we were looking at it. I was out of town with her. She was like, "I haven't gotten the screener email yet." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Damn. But Neon emailed me back with that. I emailed her and she already sent me the thing, so that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the strangers really hits you if you've ever. It's it's obviously very specific to the film, but if you've ever just had anything that you've ever left unsaid to anybody, it's I think it'll hit a lot of people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that one came out of nowhere and got like 4 or 5 nominations just because enough people saw it, and it has an incredibly high Metacritic score, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb. Everything is solid for that film. So it's like Origin. It's just like nobody's going bold and predicting it. So
All of Us Strangers and Memory is coming to Burbank on Friday.
Memory was okay. Memory's okay. Memory's fine.
Who is that? Jessica Chastain?
Yeah, it's
Amy
Jessica
Adams?
Chastain and Peter
Yeah.
Sarsgaard.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna see those two in Night Swim this weekend. So I'll let you know which one of those is the best movie.
All right, you do that. All right, that's it. We'll end. We'll call it. We're gonna call it a day.
Yeah. Subscribe to the Dark Room. Subscribe to John's channel.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. Hopefully, we'll have an episode out this week. I think.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All right.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. See you guys.